indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
All right. Let's see. Get all my little paperwork organized. All right, we do have roll call. Everybody is here. And we will call this meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. Let's see here. Apparently. All right, bear with me for just a second, guys. Sorry about that. I thought I had it all ready to go, but apparently should have that. Here it is, right? That's what I said. All right, item number 1, approve and amend minutes of regular meeting dated May 5th, 2020.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, item number 2, approve payment of claims submitted by county clerk's office.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right. Item 3, approval of monthly reports submitted by officers.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Barbara, what do we have for reports submitted by officers? You have to unmute her. There we go. Run that by us one more time.
Okay, court clerk and election board.
Election board. Okay. All right. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right. Item 4, approval to hear Human Resources Emergency Management Report on current status regarding Families First coronavirus.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, Miss Vicky, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I checked the numbers late last night. I've not looked this morning, but as of yet, the total cases remain at 93 and the deaths remain at 16 for Delaware County with no new cases. I did check on the antibody testing and the testing for the to this nose swab to see if they have coronavirus, and trying to get somebody to come to the courthouse for our employees that might like to have those tests. Right now, Travis worked with me on that. We've contacted the state health department. They will not come on site. They said that our employees can report to the health department or they need to make an appointment and they can administer the test there free of charge. The antibody test, they're not offering that. There's still some concern about the validity of the results of that test, and they've not brought that forward yet. I did talk to a local lab about providing those, and he's not he can provide the swab test, but the antibody test, again, the same concern about reliability of the results. I'll still pursue that because I know there are some of our employees or some people that work in the courthouse that may have some interest in that. So I'll keep you updated on what we find out about that. We've worked this week with Crystal at the election board. There was some concern about hand sanitizers and disinfecting of polling places. And Travis could get a drum of sanitizer, and he can get big quantities of hand sanitizer. And Crystal and her crew are going to fill those bottles of the hand sanitizers. And Travis was looking at some of those little garden sprayers, and Crystal had agreed that a precinct worker could spray the polling places between visitors. So I think we've got that worked out and taken care of her. I came in yesterday, and David and Eric, we all worked together on this project. We've used bright colored masking tape, and we've taped the hallways in lanes with directional arrows. The hallways are 6 feet wide, and that's to ask people to stay on either side of the hallways. We marked the pews in the courtrooms. Where you see a piece of green tape is where a person can sit. We marked off every other pew, and then the judge in chambers yesterday was Judge Littlefield, and David had her come in, and we consulted with her on how the areas around the bench are marked. We have 6 feet away from the bench marked on the floor, so the judges can tell when somebody breaks that 6 feet barrier. And we worked on that. We've also looked at doors to put foot openers on. The public restroom doors, the foot opener on the inside would keep people's hands off the handles. The doors coming into the courtrooms also on one side have handles where a foot opener might be appropriate in trying to stop the spread of germs through handles. So David has checked on those, and I think we needed 9, and he's going to pursue ordering those. We have 7 people now on furlough. They are requested furloughs. They were offered rights under the Families First Coronavirus Act. However, they chose the furlough because they make more money. So that was their choice of what they chose. And right now we've got 7. We've had 3 fraudulent claims on unemployment where I guess people find out somebody's identity, and one of our employees even received a card where he had money, I guess, on it. So those have all been turned over to unemployment and reported. So then we've worked on plans, the hour plans with the departments within the courthouse. And I sent a copy of those to Kenny, and it was probably late last night when I finished those, and there was a change this morning. And I don't know, do you want me to report those hours, Kenny, on what the offices have planned to do?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea to help the
Okay.
commissioners understand what everybody's plan is. And I did get a chance to read over those and appreciate everybody putting the work into figuring that out. That's very helpful, I think.
Okay, right now, the county clerk, she has not the ability to stagger staff due to the lack of, we were cross-trained in that office in all jobs. However, we've had somebody out, and so we've lost our backup in payroll. So she does not have the ability to necessarily stagger employees. So they will keep office hours 8 to 3:30, Monday through Thursday, and they will work remotely on Fridays, and their phones are configured to roll to them on Fridays, so they should always be reachable. They will accept people in the office by appointment only. So if anyone needs to feel like they need to go in person, please make contact, and they will speak to you and try to help you without you having to come in person, but if you do, there are some assessment sheets also that I sent to you. And those assessment sheets, if you've traveled outside the state and if you've been had a fever, there are 3 or 4 questions. And if you've answered yes to any of those questions, you will not be allowed inside the office. They will also ask that you wear a mask. The next thing is the treasurer's office. She will be available in the office 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. However, they will stagger staff so that if somebody is compromised, the whole entire staff will not be compromised. Again, the same rules by appointment only as the county, as I reported for the county clerk. The court clerk, 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. They will accept people to the office by appointment only if they just report in, fill out the assessment sheet. And we're asking in the plan that I sent that each of you need to review, if somebody is going to come into the courthouse, please send somebody from your office down to escort them in so that they're not just running through the courthouse, different areas. And Eric will try to repeat the every 2-hour handle sterilization and all those things. We have to put some signage on the break room. The break room is not really large. If there's coffee made, we're asking people to disinfect the handles after they use it and before they use it, and to keep a 6-foot distance. And that probably would be 1 person at a table in the break room. They might be able to survive with 1 at each end. So keep that in mind. The county assessor's office will keep hours of Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30. They will work remotely on Fridays, and their phones also are set to roll directly to them so that they will be able to conduct business on Fridays. And the field appraisers are out in the field working. So the election board, their normal hours are 9 to 3. They have been through this. Crystal staggers staff when she can. And I reported about the election earlier. The sheriff's department, they've been normal hours through this as well. So I think that's covered all the departments. The DA's office, I believe you're going to work 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday and stagger staff, if that was my understanding.
8 to 5, except for Friday.
Okay.
Friday just to 4:30. So I'll have
Okay.
essentially 2 teams. So the office will be half staffed, and those teams will alternate weeks. That may change pretty quickly depending on the caseload from the courts. But looking at what Judge Denny's been working on, this is probably a good time, Judge. Let me see if I can get you unmuted here.
I'm here.
Chairman, if you don't mind, I think this is probably a good point for the judge to tell us a little bit about the administrative order he's been working on so everybody understands that side of things.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Thank you, Kenny. And Vicki, thank you very much for coming in and marking the courtroom.
You're welcome.
That's a big help. All right, when we open for business on Monday, the 18th, things will change as far as the court system is concerned. We are going to continue with a skeleton staff, but we will be there, have a judge on site Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, conducting regular hearings, conducting arraignments, taking on emergencies, those typical sort of things. Now, we will also be getting back to doing our regular dockets. As I think all of you understand, there's things like small claims, protective orders, community sentencing, drug court, probate docket, civil motion docket, many dockets go on that those, of course, many times have a number of people that are coming for those. The judges that handle those particular dockets are going to come in, regardless of who's actually being the on-site judge for that entire day. If, for instance, Judge Littlefield's small claims docket meets on Mondays at 1 o'clock. She'll come in and handle that, even if that's not her particular day. Actually, I think it is, but at any rate, she'll handle that docket. I'll come in and handle community sentencing, civil motion dockets, so that there will be 2 judges there during those particular times, but that's going to allow that judge that's just staffing on as part of the skeleton staff to take care of everything else and not have to get involved in other judges' business. That same will go for trials. We'll start on Monday hearing things that are not emergencies, including trials. And there have been many things that have been said, anticipating this date was likely going to be a date that we'd be able to get back closer to normal operations. So trials have been set, hearings have been set. Now, the administrative order that I'm working on is one that's going to require that anyone coming to a hearing will be have to comply with CDC guidelines, including mask, gloves where necessary. Of course, they got to stay clean gloves. It doesn't do any good to come to wear gloves and then get them dirty and then come in. I think some people are struggling with that idea, but at any rate, we'll require those. Also, of course, the social distancing, 6 feet apart. And again, thank you, Vicki, for getting those things marked on the pews and the lines in the courtroom. So that administrative order is going to be coming out later this afternoon. And again, it does require following CDC guidelines. Until Monday, we will continue to only hear emergency matters, in custody matters, criminal matters such as pleas or preliminary hearings, that sort of thing. But that's all. And then Monday it's going to go back to very much normal. We also, again, will, as I mentioned earlier, will be working Monday through Friday. I do anticipate that we will, we'll just have to kind of see how the COVID-19 cases go. It sounds encouraging that we're not hearing, like the report this morning said, no new cases as of yesterday. That's great news, and we'll be watching that closely to see how quickly we can get back to a more normal type schedule, having everybody in the office. But at this point, wanted to be very careful that we don't create a situation where somebody gets sick and we wind up having to close down the entire court system, because all of us got exposed by being there with that individual that later finds out that they actually have the virus. So we're still operating on that skeleton staff, with the exception, and again, this is as of Monday, with the exception of judges coming in to handle their trials, their hearings, their dockets, so that it'll be a more manageable situation. We will, again, be staggering in this administrative order that I anticipate is going to come out later today. I've sent it to all the judges last night, sent Kenny and Caroline also a copy, and also the court clerk in Ottawa County. Do anticipate, as that comes out, that again, I may have some changes to it. Matters change frequently, as we've all realized as we've gone through this process. Things changes rather quickly sometimes. So we'll wait and see how things develop as far as getting back to an actual totally full staff. Judges, again, are going to have to work their dockets. Like on my civil motion docket, I'll usually have way more than 10 people in the courtroom at a time to hear those dockets. What I anticipate most judges will do, and I am just telling other judges with their dockets, figure out a way that you can make sure that you only have 10 people in the courtroom at the time, including judge, attorneys, litigants, witnesses. They may have to stagger hearings, where instead of a docket that starts at 1 o'clock, we might have certain cases that are going to be heard at 1 on that particular docket, and then 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, we'll hear more cases, just so that judge can make sure that at all times that there's no more than the 10 people that are in the courtroom. And it is going to be made clear, I think signs at the front door, signs on the courtroom doors. And certainly I've told staff that we need to be making sure well ahead of any court hearings or dates that we know attorneys and litigants will be coming, that we contact those individuals to let them know they won't be allowed in unless they're complying with the CDC guidelines, which is at least a mask, and again, in some certain circumstances, gloves. And of course, the 6 feet distancing. So that's what we're anticipating to start doing as of Monday. Any questions from anybody?
Thank you, Judge Denny.
You bet.
No, sir. Oh, Vic, I guess you're trying to say something.
Gotta find her here.
Okay, Kenny, the large courtroom, there are the spacing required. There is room for 18 people. I believe the courtroom where you go back toward the judge's chambers, that courtroom, I believe, would accommodate 10 people seating socially distanced. And I believe it's 4 in the commissioner's meeting room. So if that helps you, those numbers.
Okay. That'll be good for court because we're gonna stay under that 10-person cap until the rules change. So.
Okay.
By the way, this is Judge Denny again. We are continuing to encourage people, we'll continue to do that, to do remote hearings where possible, so we don't even have people in the courtroom. I attended by video last Friday a CLE class about doing using the Blue Jeans format to be able to do those type hearings, and encouraging the other judges to take a look at that possibility as far as doing some of their hearings remotely. The more we can do that, obviously the less risk we have.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Judge Denny.
Sure.
All right, if anyone doesn't have anything else, I think we'll move on. All right, item 5, approval of the 308 monthly apportionments for June 2020.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. I think tentatively, kind of looking at my notes, next month's money should be about $69,012, and our CBRI money is looking at about $86,5334, $8,653. So could be a lot worse, but you can tell we have had a little dip in our fuel tax money since this has all started. Even though it's cheap, nobody's going nowhere. So
Even with that, this month is still better than it was June of last month.
or I mean
Or
last year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thankfully it well, cheap gas helped, I would say. So, but all right, moving on to item 6, approval to receive and file copy of certificate of liability insurance for current list of board members for the Kenwood Fire Department as follows: Tony Hopton, chairman; Adrian Black, member; Greg Butcher, member; Ira Holt, member; Greg Butcher, fire chief; Greg Butcher and Barbara Barnes representing; Barbara and Hopton receiving; George Hare inventory. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right, item 7, Approval to receive and file a copy of certificate of liability insurance and current list of board members for the Grove Fire Department as follows. Ed Trumbull, Mayor. Ivan Divot, Vice Mayor. Matt Henderson, Councilman. Martin Dyer, Councilman. Josh McElhaney, Councilman. Mike Reed, Fire Chief. Rocky De Silva, Assistant Chief. Mike Reed and Barbara Barnes, Requisition. Rocky De Silva, Receiving. Jeremy Brown, Inventory. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Let's see here. Item 8, approval to review and file with possible discussion of annual fire protection system inspection performed by Johnson Controls.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Kind of think Barbara has a copy and I have a copy of, for the most part, we're okay, but they have yellow tagged us, apparently on the alarm detection system, needing a little bit of work. And then also on a sub note here, it says not able to test fire pump running at the time per customer. Fire pump was turned off upon arrival for this inspection. Fire pump off due to maintenance issues with fire pump. So apparently we have a pump issue. This is the water flow switches were electronically tested, but not able to flow water. So apparently we've got a pump problem that,
I think that's the pump problem that's over there in Dawn's Annex.
okay, in the annex building.
Yeah, that was the electric one wasn't kicking on, so the big diesel one was kicking on.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Now, the little pressure, the
Yeah, they couldn't.
antiquated pressure switch.
I think they've got it taken off and they're rebuilding it, or so, last time I heard that's what the plan was, because they couldn't find that pump anymore.
Right. Okay. We need to get probably an update from them just as quick as we can. So
I
we'll
can
get that.
I can give Don a call and see where we're at with it,
Okay, good deal.
or I'll just go up there.
Well, yeah, either way. So,
And then the deal with the alarm system, was that the controller down in the jail?
mm-hmm.
So I thought.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Guess we need to take a vote to accept this. So Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right. Item 9, approval to receive and file court clerk record management and preservation monthly reports.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Let's see. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Let's see. Item 10, approval to advertise for sealed bids on annual election balance.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Okay. Item 11, approval to receive and file current list of officers for emergency management as follows. Travis Beasley, receiving and inventory. Rhonda Gower, requisitioning. I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Alright. Item 12, approval to receive and forward to the district attorney's office petition for the foreclosure styled as YMB plaintiff versus Thibodeau Tibor. I'm not sure how you pronounce that name. Yeah,
Or Shelley.
Tibor, 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 Shelley
Yeah.
Estate. Okay, defendant's case number CJ 2020-72. Do we have a
Motion.
motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. And item 13, approval to open the floor for new business.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. I have no new business. Anyone else?
I have none.
I have none either.
The only
Thank
thing,
you.
the one thing I might bring up, David, is kind of based on what the judge was explaining to everybody about his administrative order that's coming forward, where our courts are going to be requiring compliance with the CDC guidelines for entry into the court system and for participation. The judge asked us to look at the idea of adopting those guidelines for the courthouse itself. So I went ahead and prepared a relatively short resolution. We adopted it yesterday in Miami at their BOCC meeting as part of new business, and also considering that in some ways it's an emergency situation because we're dealing with court starting next Monday. And I think it's helpful for not only the court system, but especially our security guys at the front to know that there's one set of rules. So whether someone's coming for court or they're coming to my office or they're coming to Susan's office, they've got to follow the same rules. So they've got to be wearing a mask. They've got to, affirmatively state that, they haven't been sick or had direct contact with someone, all those sort of things. The CDC guidelines change, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on a weekly basis. So that was one of the discussions I've had since, is that if we went to the trouble to try and spell out, okay, here are the 10 guidelines we really want people to follow. They may be different tomorrow. It may be different next week. And I don't want you guys to have to come back and amend this any more often than is necessary. And it will have to be amended as time goes by. But I think leaving it as this umbrella and really the main things that we're concerned about the public coming in is probably the masks, the social distancing, keeping us under that 10-person limit in any particular public area. Also the intention, or at least my intention with this, it would be up to the board to decide how they wanted to implement it, obviously, is that the masks, the gloves, things like that are going to apply in the common areas, the public areas of the courthouse. I don't expect all of Susan's employees to necessarily be wearing a mask inside of her office. Now she, when you're expecting someone to come meet with you, you go outside of your office, but then you probably want your employee to mask up for that. But that's something I wanted to throw out there for you guys to consider. We could always look at it as a special meeting. We could even wait until next Tuesday to address it if you wanted to, or had more questions for us. But just realize we're going to have people beginning to come back in some form or fashion on, a week from yesterday.
Okay. Now I've reviewed that resolution that you sent to me that all I implemented, and I didn't see any issues with changing it or amending it anyway. It's pretty kind of a standard cut deal. So that part, I don't have any, I don't know if if the rest of the board has had a chance to look at it or not. But, I think it'll, for the language that you used, I think it should suffice for what the recommendation is. So
Right.
for now.
And I don't imagine Russell or Martin have had a chance to see it. But
No.
for you guys' benefit, basically, it's just got the beginning paragraphs of, whereas we've got COVID-19 and, the governor's done this, the Supreme Court's done this. And so we're going to require people the important part of it is just that we're going to require people to enter the courthouse to comply with CDC guidelines.
Does it give us any kind of guidance on when we can go back to having normal BOCC meetings? Or
No,
is that going to be probably after the minimum 10 people is lifted, or?
well, so that's going to be up to you guys again. I know Ottawa County is thinking about, although they haven't decided for sure, going back to an in-person meeting next week. Now that would still be with social distancing, and keeping the number of attendees under 10. If they do decide to do that, we're still going to Zoom record the meeting because we obviously can't allow as much of the public to attend as we would like. Otherwise, we'll pretty quickly go over our 10-person limit. So the public's still going to be barred from attending in person. I told the commissioners, as long as we keep it under 10, if you've got specific people that have business before the board, depending on the numbers, we can either go ahead and allow them to come into the physical meeting. We can keep them outside of the courthouse and then bring them in just to address the board during that time that their comments are relevant, or they've got business to conduct. I might ask Vicky, let me unmute Vicky. You talked about the county commissioner's courtroom or the county commissioner's room, Vicky, as only being big enough for 4 people to maintain the 6-foot distance. Did I understand that right?
That was for court, Kenny, to allow for a judge and a reporter and attorneys.
Okay.
If you wanted to look at it on social distancing, there would be room for, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8 people besides, and that's depending on how the commissioner sat across their bench. But I'm guessing
For the
maybe
measures of
the benches, you can put 1 person on either end of the bench, and there has to be a bench open. So there are 6 benches in there, so 8 people.
So, that'll be something for you guys to think about. I think we are heading in that direction. Most of the plans I've looked at for other counties and courts have things still pretty closed down for this first 2 weeks. So they're considering phase 1, May 18th to the end of May, and then phase 2 starting June 1st. So like Tulsa County stuff is really in depth, but it's still pretty limited for that first 2-week period, and then envisions, depending on how the numbers look, opening up a little bit more down the road. So, we may be looking at that first meeting in June as maybe the first one we have in person, just depending on how everything's going at that time. But I think we're getting there.
Okay.
Hey, Mike's waving at you, David.
Well, I can't unmute him anyway, so.
Here, hey, I can. There you go, Mike.
Real quickly, it's real important on these protocols that you've established to get some kind of communication out to the public. I would recommend your website, whatever, so everybody understands the rules. Whether it's an appointment, whether needing a mask. I think the best vehicle is your website, but I don't, that's up for you all to decide. But I think it's real important to get this information out to the citizens. And so how they know how to act.
Well, that was Mike. One thing I had in mind was I was going to share it on my Facebook page. We adopted, put it in place, but I didn't want to throw out something and then 2 days later change it again. So, but till we got this one dialed down on the first set, anyways.
And before we get out of new business, Susan has something she'd like to say.
Okay.
Oh, let me, there we go.
Okay, I have a couple of things. Been visiting with Kenny about a resale, which was scheduled for June 8th. We are going to postpone that to a later date. I will be getting a letter for Barbara to get me on the agenda so you guys can do it next week. Is that correct, Kenny?
That's correct.
Okay, so as of now, I'm looking maybe towards September, but we'll just kind of wait it out, how things progress. So,
Does that mean that you'll have to republish everything, Susan?
yeah, it only ran 1 week, so the paper was good to work with me, and I only have to pay for that 1 week, which is
Okay.
it's pretty expensive. So, and we have to publish it 4 consecutive weeks. So, we need to make sure that the next date is going to be a good date. So I have to, I have to determine that, and I'll be visiting with Kenny about that as well. And the next thing was, I'm going to get windows like Caroline had installed. I don't know if y'all have seen them, but I definitely don't want to make any appointments till I get that done.
What kind of time are you looking at that on, Susan?
Pardon me?
What kind of time frame?
Well, he
What
said,
are they?
he told me yesterday, 2 weeks, he's hoping. So
Okay.
that would be wonderful because,
Yeah.
and then the next thing, so this COVID policy that Vicki, you sent us, is all the employees required to sign this before or in a designated amount of time? Do we need to get them?
Susan, that's just a draft.
Okay,
It's not been approved yet.
Okay.
That is something that ACO had sent in. Charlie Plum with McAfee and Taft had drafted that for the county governments to use, and I used their template, and I forwarded that to everyone for review. So if they adopt the CDC guidelines like Kenny has suggested, that basically just spells those out for what they are now. So I think we're covered if we use what Kenny has suggested. And we might want to use the assessment form so we have a record of people, and we'll consult Kenny about what his thoughts are about that form. If you have someone coming to your office and you want to ask those questions or have them complete that. But the rest of the assessment is basically what he suggested. But that was ACO's template. I wrote it and I had a watermark draft when I sent it out. And Judge Denny, I'm sorry I don't have your email, but I will get that from you so that I can add you to the list when I'm sending something like that. That was
Okay.
for review.
Okay.
that's all I have.
I think Judge Denny was talking, Kenny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go.
Okay. Sorry about that. I just was asking if the board's going to go ahead and vote on the resolution that you've drawn up, Kenny, adopting the CDC guidelines for the courthouse.
We don't have an agenda item. to
We
vote
will.
on it.
Say, well, it's not on the agenda. We didn't have an agenda item for it, but
I mean, we'd have it on next Tuesday.
right.
Well, I think what Kenny was saying is you could adopt it as an emergency order at this time under new business. And I don't want to speak for Kenny. Kenny, is that correct?
That's correct. I think that's one of the options. So new business is something that wasn't known before, and there wasn't a way for us to know about it. So this all kind of came up over the weekend as Judge was working on his administrative orders, and we were kind of communicating back and forth about some of the ideas and what he was hoping to see come of it. So until basically, I don't know, probably late Sunday, we weren't really aware that this was going to be an issue. So under that reasoning, if you want, it qualifies as new business. I think there's also a, quasi-emergency side to this, and that we are dealing with, public health, public safety, and people's entry into the courthouse. And we could also just do we could schedule a 5-minute special meeting by Zoom later in the week as well. So however you guys want to handle it, I think you're good. Whether you want to do it now, do it on a special meeting, or wait till Tuesday.
Okay.
Sooner's
Well, that
probably-
was kind of my way up with, I didn't know if we could, there wasn't enough time on today's agenda to be put on it, and if we can squeeze that in with, but if we can do that on new business, I don't have a problem with voting that in. What's the board's feeling on that? Russell, Martin, what do you think? It's
I mean, I'm fine if we want to do it in new business right now. But
okay.
I'll be all right with it.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff as far as what's just got to go on by CDC recommendations. So, okay. Well, let's see here. We'll need to, let's see here. Clicking here. How we would word this, the Delaware County resolution of, I'm just kind of looking, CDC guidelines for beginning of non-emergency business on May 18th, 2020, something like that. That
Yeah.
work for, okay. Did you get that, Barbara?
You're cutting out a little bit.
Okay. We'll just have a motion to vote on the, all right, go ahead.
You're making a motion?
Correct.
Okay, to adopt that resolution that I have here.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
okay, I'll second.
Okay.
So I made the motion. Russell makes a second. All right, Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Okay. All right. Well, I believe
Can I have-
other than that, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Can I-
Jose.
Yeah, if I can. I certainly agree with Mike, what he said as far as getting this information out to the public as best we can. And I certainly agree with putting it on the county's website. I think also through email, all the offices, I think, are aware of many of the people that are regulars coming to their office. I know certainly we're going to be sending out this information to local attorneys, secretaries, all those folks that may be coming to the courthouse. So that, and like I was saying earlier, if an attorney has a hearing coming up, we're certainly going to get word to them that they've got to make sure that they are complying with guidelines as well as their client, as well as their witnesses. So I think that's something that we can all do as various offices, whether it's assessor's office, court clerk, whoever's, get word out to those people by email that regularly, and it'll get around, and certainly have it on the website as Mike was suggesting. One other question I have, is there a questionnaire going to be at the front door for people to fill out that basically says, I've not been diagnosed with COVID-19, I've not running a temperature today, I haven't been to a foreign country in the last 14 days. Is that something that's been contemplated by either the sheriff's office or the commissioners?
Here's a form that was developed by ACO, Judge Denny, that I sent for review, that they
Oh,
could
okay.
look at and determine. And when this is over, maybe if somebody's got your email, if they would send it to me, I'll forward this to you.
So that's going to be at the front door then?
They've not made a decision yet on what's, I'll defer to Kenny and the board on that. I sent all this packet of information to them for review, and if they felt like the voluntary visitor self-assessment, at least to me, if somebody's reporting, we have made an effort to get in writing that they say that they have not been infected or they're wearing a mask or whatever, but that's not my decision, but I did include a form.
Okay, great.
So I would anticipate, Judge, that we'll make a final decision on that sometime between now and next Monday. And the form is short.
It is.
But
Yeah.
may
A couple of pages.
bog things down at the front door to a point that it's not really
Yes.
because then you're also, you're either handing people pencils and then wiping those pencils down.
And how many people are going to sit and actually tell the truth on this thing if they have to come in for a court date that day?
Well, and it's just 4 questions. So they're, I think 4, is that right? They're lightning quick.
Right.
Yeah.
What my thought was, is that if each of the offices have this form, if people call for an appointment, they know they're going to be coming into the court system, that possibly this could be emailed to them, so they had it completed when they presented at the courthouse.
Yes.
May be unrealistic in the court system. I don't know that. If somebody was coming in one of the other offices, it might very well be realistic that they could send the form to them in advance when they're making an appointment or ask the information of them. That's just my thought.
Right.
I mean, I think if we're asking them the questions as soon as they come in the door, it's a little late at that point to be asking a question if you've had it or if you've got it or anything like that when they're already in the door making contact with the guard, touching pens, pencils, and stuff like that.
Well, we'll work on that. We'll figure it out between now and then.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, there's
thank you.
definitely going to be some growing and setting this up, because it's a whole went from just a, metal detector and x-ray machine and all that. Now we're having to kind of implement this. So we'll kind of, like the rest of us, kind of iron it out as we go. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else, guys?
Good.
Okay, we'll move on. Item 14, approval to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion will carry. We will be adjourned at 9:56 a.m. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.